Hey, Brandon here for another Be Free Builds cargo camper update. In this video, I'm going to frame the cabinet with 2x2s and build a countertop out of plywood and laminate sheets. I've got the locations roughly figured out for the bathroom, the freshwater tank, and the electrical systems. I'll be building the cabinets around the water tank and the electrical systems. First, I lay out the individual cabinet sections and dry fit them. Over here on the right, I'm going to build a shelf to mount all the electrical gear. The freshwater tank will be pressed against that wall, along with the rest of the plumbing equipment. Here, I'm starting work on the shelf. First, I get the general framing for it done. Then I add the shelf frame. Then I start attaching the frame to the floor and walls. I attach some cross beams for additional support. I'm going to attach all the electrical components onto the shelf with the batteries underneath. The first thing I do is block the shot with a nice big inverter so you can't watch me install the rest of the components. I bolt down the battery switch, the fuse box, the bus bars, and the charge controller. Here you can see all the electrical components wired up. Underneath, I've got the batteries where I'll eventually brace them in. After the right section is all done, I finish framing the left side. You can see the water tank fits pretty nicely in there. For the countertop, I start with cutting down some plywood to fit the space. Then I cut them to fit snugly together. I'm going to add another layer of plywood to some areas to increase the strength of the counter without adding too much extra weight. I use wood glue and screw each of these in place, taking extra care to get the front part straight since I'll be leaving it exposed. Looks like they still fit and sit nicely on the frame. Now it's time to glue down some laminate. I roughly cut laminate to match each of the countertop pieces. Then I spray down the top of the wood and the bottom of the laminate with contact cement. Once that's dried a bit, I press down the laminate to the wood. I then take a router and trim off the excess laminate. Then I do the same thing for the longer section. These guys seem to fit pretty well. The seam isn't perfect, but it'll be fine with a bit of caulking. I misaligned the laminate and the wood here, leaving a slight gap. I'll end up trimming that down later. Here, I'm trimming down the edge so it leaves a clean cross-section view of the plywood. I use a sander to get it nice and smooth. This corner is going to need some extra attention since it's got the chip in it and it needs to be rounded off. Apparently, I didn't tighten the clamp down very well, so my router wandered off. Luckily, I had to trim this section a bit anyway, so I sanded it down smooth and it turned out pretty good. I adjust the corners a bit to see how clean I can get that seam. Finally, I'll be putting a little sink in the counter, so I trace it out and mark my cutting locations. I drill some holes in the corners, then use a jigsaw to carefully cut a hole for the sink. I lay some caulking around the edge, then tighten the sink down. And here's the countertop all installed. I'm sure this white laminate will get dirty pretty quick, but it looks good right now. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.